and welcome. My name is Andrea. If you're new here, today on Dessert First, we are going to be making Christmas elf cookies. So this will be a fun one for the littles if you have young children or grandchildren or maybe great-grandchildren. So if not, they're a great hit for any Christmas celebration, if you want to take a cookie tray, or if you do cookie gifts or just any kind of sweet treat gifts, it's a great addition for that as well. So if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on lots of great videos. Go ahead and like it if you like it, and feel free to share it. So all right, so we're going to get started here on our cookies. I do have my oven preheating to 325 degrees. If you watched the peppermint sugar cookies, you'll know that that one was cooked at a higher temp, so I did have to reduce because I'm filming them in the same day. So anyway, I've got everything cleaned up and we are ready to get started on these cookies. So I'm going to be using my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer for most of this. You will have to probably use a spatula or something to mix everything in, all the add-ins. But for the first part, you can definitely use a hand mixer. But we're going to take the easy route and use the stand mixer because I have it. So in here, we are going to add 1 cup of regular sugar. And then we're also going to add a cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to lightly pack the brown sugar. If you don't really know what that means, just put some brown sugar in your cup and just lightly press it in there. You don't need to press it really hard. That would be more of a firm pack, but we just want lightly packed. So I know a lot of people on here are probably experienced bakers, but we may have some that are not that experienced but want to learn. So I try to give those tips as I go when I'm thinking about it, so that we can all be successful in the kitchen. All right, so when it's been lightly packed or firmly packed, it should stay together in a lump when you dump it in there. So we're just going to, oh, that one has a chunk, so we're just going to throw that out. Sometimes that happens with brown sugar, so that would have a hard time mixing in. I'm just going to make sure, yeah, there's no other chunks in there. All right, and then this is going to have 1 cup of vegetable oil instead of butter. So we're going to add that in. And I'm going to use the paddle attachment for my mixer. And I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and then we'll get our eggs cracked. All right, now I'm just going to add 2 eggs, whole eggs, into there. And then we are also going to add some vanilla. So we're going to go with 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I know a lot of people like to use, pure vanilla or maybe a higher end vanilla. But here's my tip, and you can do it however you want, but I like to get a quality imitation vanilla to use for most things. And then if I'm making something where vanilla is the star of the show, then I may use a higher end vanilla in that. So, but you're not really going to taste the vanilla in here. It really just helps with the other flavors to really balance everything out. So in this, you don't need an expensive vanilla. And then we're going to add our flour. So we're going to use all-purpose flour, 2 cups. And I had just opened this bag of flour this morning and added to my canisters, and I punctured a hole in it, so I'm trying to use what's left in this bag so I don't have to find a container to put the little dab in. So there's 1 cup. And then we're going to put most of that in. I'm going to save out about half of that. And then to that, we are going to add our salt and our baking powder and our baking soda. So we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. And then a teaspoon of baking soda. And then a quarter of a teaspoon of baking powder. And we're just going to mix that in. This way we know that we're not going to get a blob of baking soda, because I remember as a child sometimes eating something that someone made and I would get a really strong baking soda flavor, and it's just because they dumped it in and it didn't get mixed in well. So I like to mix it all in with my dry flour, and then we're going to add that there. And then we're going to mix this in. So to this, now we're going to add some rolled oats, or old-fashioned oats. So we're going to add a cup. Add a cup of those. And let's go ahead and give that a mix. Now you want to mix that in, because if it busts them up a little bit, it's okay, because you're not going to want to mix the rest too much or it will break them up. So, and we're going to add some holiday cheer red and green M&Ms, but we only need like half of this bag. So this is a 10-ounce bag, so we're just going to add about half of it. And I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to dump them. I'm just going to dump in about half, what seems to be about half. Okay. And then I originally was going to add white chocolate chips, but when I did my shopping, this was not on my list of things to make. So this was a last night add-on. So I'm going to add some caramel bits instead. So the chocolate and the caramel and the oats, I think, will go really well together. So we're just going to do, this is an 11-ounce bag, so we're just going to use probably half of that. Let's mix that. as if that wasn't festive enough, now I'm going to add some Christmas sprinkles. And I thought I had more. I wanted more of those, but that's all I have. So I'm just going to use up the rest of that in there. And then I have some this size. So like this, little round ones. So we're just going to add some of those. I don't want to use all of them because I'm going to use some of them for another thing I'm making. Okay. All right. And you can see how thick that is. Get that all off of there. You just don't want to mix it too long with the mixer because it does break up your chocolate or your M&Ms, but a few busted ones are okay. All right, so let's get that off of there. Now I have 2 sheet trays that are lined with parchment paper. And since these have a lot of goodies in them, I'm not going to use a scoop for these. I'm just going to use a spoon and spoon them out because I want them a little bigger. And the scoop will be just a little bit too small with that much in there. So I have just a kind of a soup spoon that we're going to use. Get this turned around a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to scoop in, just get a fair amount. It's a little too sticky to roll, so we're just going to do this, where we're just going to scoop it and dump it, just like that. So I'm not sure if I can get 3. These will spread some, I think. So I'm going to put this tray in the oven, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my other tray dished up, and I'll see you back here in just a few. I am going to make some changes to this recipe, so when I post it in the description, it will have the changes made to it. I actually, these are way too big. This was the size that I scooped out, and I mean, you may want that. So I cut the rest of them in half, so I got a lot more cookies, and they're a little smaller. But I'm going to change the oil to butter. So instead of the oil, just do 2 sticks of butter, room temperature, cream that with your sugars, and then add your other ingredients. This was a really old recipe that I found of my mom's, and then I just omitted some ingredients and replaced with others like the M&Ms and the chips. I still think it would be better with the white chocolate chips instead of the caramel bites, but you can make that choice. The beautiful thing about it is you can change it up to whatever. I mean, you can make these at Easter time and add Easter colored M&Ms or whatever, or just chocolate chips. The original recipe is called dish pan cookies, and I did do a video of it a year or 2 ago, so it is on the channel, so you can go and find that, or I'll try and link it up here for you so you'll kind of see. And I actually cut the recipe in half because it makes a huge amount, or as my mom's recipe says, makes a dish pan full. So most of us don't really know what a dish pan was, but it was just a pan that they washed dishes in, but it was a big pan. So anyway, a little old-timer lesson there. but I do like them and they do taste good. I did try it. So, and these are cooked really nice. I might actually bump that temperature up to 350 as well. They were at 325. I really think they need about that same temperature that you would cook like a chocolate chip cookie or no milk cookie. So a little higher temp. Swap out the oil for the butter. My guess is butter was really expensive when that recipe was written, and that's why they used oil. So would be my guess. But if you don't have butter and you have vegetable oil, you can do that. But anyway, let's see. So it's still really, this one's really still warm, so it's really still kind of soft. So, but you can kind of see it's a nice cookie. They'll crisp up a little bit as they cool down. But I think the little elves will like these, especially with maybe a cup of milk to dip them in, or a cup of coffee. So, but this is a fun, easy recipe to make, especially for the littles if they like to leave cookies and milk for Santa. If that's a tradition that you do with your littles or your grands or your great grands, if you have them. I have a cousin who just announced a great grandchild on the way, and then announced the next day another great grandchild on the way. So like, it seems crazy because I don't feel that old. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. Stay tuned. I'm going to make another one and probably post it on Christmas Eve. Just some quick candy. So again, subscribe, like, share. Merry Christmas.